Hello. I thought I would just jump straight in and talk about the first finished object I had in February. So back in January you saw me starting to work on another version of my Nelson top, which is a crochet kind of cover up top with heart cutout designs in it. I wanted to make a more Valentine's Day inspired version of it using this pink and red yarn. I did finish it just before Valentine's Day and I did post pictures of it on Instagram, but now the day has passed and it's March as you're seeing this, but I still want to show it to you because I really love how it turned out. I love the pink and the red together. There's something about it I really enjoy. I used for this one, it's cotton, Estelle's cotton DK yarn, and I think that's worked really well for this pattern. Actually, it's really holding the shape of the hearts. I'm wearing a black vest top underneath it to kind of make the heart cutouts stand out. So this version is slightly more cropped than the original pattern I've written, and that is because I originally only bought 2 balls of this red and 2 balls of this pink yarn. They're 50 grams each. And I kind of knew that might not be enough for the size I wanted to make, but and as I made, so these tops, this top is crocheted. You do 4 separate panels, 2 at the front and 2 for the back, and then you join them together and add some ribbing along the bottom. As I was doing the first panel, I think it was the pink one, I realized that I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn to do it exactly each panel the length that I have written in the pattern, so I cut it short. I'd missed out the kind of last step of repeats, so it's very cropped. As it turns out, I did run out of yarn to do the ribbing, so I did go and buy some more of the pink to join it together. I do wonder if it would have been fun to do kind of red ribbing and pink ribbing, but I've done all pink basically because the yarn store didn't have red and I wanted to finish it before Valentine's Day, so I just went with the yarn that I could find. But it's worked out all right. Basically with this, because you're doing the 4 separate panels and then you join together, you can kind of opt for how deep you want this V to be. So I have done it fairly deep here, and then it's not quite so deep on the back, but I obviously could change that up. But yeah, overall I really like this version that I've made, maybe actually even more than the original sample that I made, just because I love the colours. But yeah, if you would like to make your own, you can find the pattern on my website, Etsy and Ravelry, and as well as the written instructions, I do have an associated like video tutorial linked to the pattern, just to kind of go through how you do like the heart, to make that heart shape. If you're more of like a visual learner, that may be helpful to you. It's all written out in the pattern, but I know some people prefer to see something visually, so I try and do a video tutorial for something that's very specific like this. I know there's heaps of video tutorials out there, but yeah, so that's available. And yeah, that was my main finished object of February. So let me show you the rest of what I've been working on. Okay, so I do have one other finished object, although it's technically still a work in progress too, so this feels like a good transition project because I also have quite a few other whips to talk about. So again, in January's vlog, I was showing you my next pattern design, which is going to be a reversible top. So I have finished my first sample of that, which I was knitting with some black yarn from Life in the Long Grass. And this is it. So I have a V-neck on one side and a scoop neck on the other. So you might be able to see the ends. I have weaved in the ends, but I haven't done a final wash and block of this top yet, so I don't want to like cut the yarn too much, just in case, so I kind of let it be until it's finally finished. And this yarn that I've used from Life in the Long Grass, it's a 100% superwash merino, and I did just want to touch on why I picked superwash yarn for this project. I picked it because when I had this idea in mind to make this top, I wanted it to be something practical for travel. I've done a little bit of traveling in my time, and I know when you're kind of carrying your life on your back, you kind of want to limit how many things you are carrying. So having like versatile clothing is quite a good option. So I wanted to make a top that you could wear 2 different ways, so the V-neck and the scoop neck. you know, you have more for less in some ways. You're changing up your look on the neckline of a design. So that was one aspect of it. And the other aspect for picking the superwash yarn is because superwash yarn you're able to put in a washing machine, and I have found when you're on the road, on like a literal road trip, or you're traveling in quite quick succession, you don't have time or space or capacity necessarily to like hand wash knits and allow them to dry. For example, me and my boyfriend did an interrailing trip across Europe for a month. We were somewhere new, sometimes every couple of days, so there wasn't time to hand wash things and allow them to dry. So at least with this superwash yarn, you can stick it in a machine. You may still want to take it out and not go in the dryer, but it probably would survive the dryer if you had to. So that's why I know it's not the most environmentally friendly form of yarn, but I feel it's fairly sustainable in terms of if you're using it for that particular purpose, like I was thinking when designing this for travel and like long-term travel, or even just a 2-week vacation, this felt like the more practical and therefore more usable long-term use of this top. So that is why I've picked superwash yarn. Obviously when the pattern comes out, people can pick whatever yarn they prefer as long as they meet the gauge. It does mean that superwash yarn does kind of grow a bit sometimes when you do wash it, at least at first, so I did make sure to kind of account for that when I did my initial big gauge swatch when I was designing this, and have been checking it when I did my first little block of this before I'd finished the top half, just to see what was going on, and it did kind of grow in length. But so I completed this, but this was a bottom-up design. And as I was working it bottom up and I was writing the pattern as I go, which I'm proud of because I normally forget to do that. When I come to write the pattern, I forget some small details and it takes me a while. But I did it as I went, so I'm proud of myself for that. But it made me think that I actually probably could write it as a top down rather than bottom up. And I was thinking about other patterns that I have knit of other people's, and I've done both, but that I perhaps myself even prefer top down, just because I like to be able to try something on as I'm going and make sure that when the pattern says to join together for the body, for me, does it actually work there, or do I need to keep going a bit further? Is it looking too long, etc.? And you can do that with bottom up too, of course. But yeah, I felt like my preference was top down. I then cast a poll across social media platforms to ask, and although I wasn't like overwhelmed with thousands of responses, the overwhelming response was that people prefer top down. So I thought, well, let's try and do that then. I had already bought yarn to make a second sample anyway, so I thought, well, I'll use that yarn to try and reverse my process and do top down. So I started that, and I'll show you in a minute. But once I finished this and I tried it on, I did realise there was a couple of things that weren't quite right for me that I wanted to try and rectify in the second sample. So let me just pop this on and I can show you what I mean. Okay, so let me just tie my hair so you can see. So I have got it on the V-neck side. I really like this side, happy with it. I'm happy with the depth of the V. I really love the, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, the ribbing detail that I have here on the arm, kind of coming down the side, and then it is at the bottom here. I'm happy with that. I do think I could, I maybe could make the ribbing deeper. I think perhaps I envisioned it being slightly deeper, but I know 1x1 ribbing is a bit of a chore. So I'm just going to see how I go with that one. I'm not totally against it being the 3 inches deep I currently have it. But yeah, so that's good. But if I flip over to the scoop neck side, ta-da, there are a few things that I was looking to change in the second sample. So one of them is that I decided I didn't like the depth of the scoop neck. It's the same depth as the V-neck, and I thought actually if I'm really wanting it to be varied, maybe I want that to be not as deep. So I wanted to change it to maybe come here. I also felt like it's not as wide as I'd want it to differentiate it enough from the V-neck. So in my second sample, I wanted to make this a bit wider, so bind off more stitches in the centre. I also, let me get closer, don't know if you can really see on the camera, but I have just bound off stitches here, and I don't know how much you can see that, but it rolls a little bit. And it just looks a bit messy compared to the edges here, which I've done like a little I-cord bind off to stop it from rolling here. I feel like this just looks a bit unfinished. So I wanted to experiment with ways to change that in the top-down version. So I have started on that, so I'll show you the changes I have made and what I'm going to do going forward. Okay, just putting a totally different jumper on now because it's not actually warm enough today to just be sitting in my Nelson top. It's not summer yet. Okay, so this is my take 2 of the reversible top, yet to be named. It is in this beautiful coloured yarn from Fireweed Fibre Company based out in Manitoba in Canada. I think the colourway is Tidal Wave. It is also superwash merino wool, but with nylon as well, so it's more of like a sock yarn. So I've done the V-neck, no changes there. So I started doing each side of the V-neck, picking up stitches to do the scoop neck side, and I just joined it together and I took it off to wash and block just to make sure everything was going as I wanted. So with the scoop neck, as I mentioned, I didn't want it to be as deep, so I had to recalculate. Sorry, the lighting is not great. I had to recalculate how many increases in the reverse I wanted to make before I started binding off for the bottom of the scoop neck. And so I calculated it to give me about 1 inch underneath the bottom of the scoop neck before joining all the pieces together to work the round. So not a massive difference, but I kept the I-cord, and then for the bottom where I bound off the stitches, I did have to play around with a few options. Ideally I would have just carried on the I-cord, but I couldn't figure out how to do that in pattern. Well, I tried it a few times and it just wasn't working out, and I thought it would be quite complicated for anyone making that pattern as well to do. So I have done a bit of a folded hem, I suppose. So I bound off as normal in stockinette, and then I knit back and forth for about 8 rows, and I just picked up when it got to a few rows down, I just picked up stitches on the back and knit them together. You can't tell too much, but it's created just this slight folded hem, and it does mean that it now doesn't roll and just looks a bit neater and finished. And I wanted to wash it just to make sure that that was still going to remain the case after washing and blocking it. So now I can put all the stitches back on to the needles and start working the body, and I will think about whether I'm going to add deeper ribbing or not to the pattern. And I have written out the pattern now in top down, so hopefully I'll be able to get that to my tech editor in the next couple of weeks, depending on their availability. Like if I try and finish the write-up in the next week, get it to them, and then maybe in the next few weeks they'll be able to tech edit it, I can start testing it, and that would mean it would probably be out maybe end of May, early June, so just in time for summer, which would be perfect. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is progressing. I'm learning a lot for garment construction. I feel like I've only crocheted tops before, so having a knitted one is and one that's a bit more detailed than my others. My others are quite straightforward with the idea of it being beginner friendly. This I think a beginner could still do, there's just a bit more to it, and it's just made me think a lot more about construction, not just what works but what would be okay and easy to follow as someone following the pattern. So yeah, I'm going to be really happy with this, I think, and it's definitely something that I'm going to be wearing. I know for sure it'll be coming on holidays with me. So yeah, that is my sort of finished object slash whip. Okay, had a quick change there because the battery on my camera was dying, so I decided to charge it and have some lunch in the meantime and put on my dungarees, my trusted comfy dungarees. So now I'm into the other whips I've been working on, but first I want to just shout out again because this week, I'm filming this actually on the 1st of March, but this week on the Monday just gone, I finally released the tied collar. So that is now out as a pattern that you can buy through my website, Etsy and Ravelry. Really happy to have it finally out there. I had 5 people testing the pattern in the end, and I have with my tests, I've previously had it that photos are not mandatory to share, but people did, and I love seeing what other people do with my patterns. Their collars look so pretty, so amazing. I love the colours they've picked. So yeah, very happy to have this little versatile detachable collar accessory out there for everyone to buy. So thank you for anyone who has given it a like or a share or has purchased the pattern. I hope you enjoy knitting it. Thank you for your support. Okay, so I won't dwell on this one too long. Everyone's probably kind of sick of this project by now, but the baby blanket is still ongoing. I did pick it up this week as that reversible top, the second version, was being washed and drying. I picked back up the baby blanket again. So I have, since I last showed you, I think I had 3 rows complete. I now have 6. And ideally I just want to do 3 more rows of this and it'll be ready. If you happen to be new here and not have seen this blanket before, I will just briefly touch on it. So I have this blanket that I am making for a friend who had a baby quite some time ago now, actually. And I wanted to design my own blanket, and I wanted it to be kind of stash busty potential and combine knitting and crochet. It was kind of inspired by the Stella quilt blanket that I knit for one of my nephews, and then I made a cushion version as well. I really liked that pattern. I found it quite an enjoyable, like meditative, straightforward process, and it inspired me to think of my own, like similar style but different. So I've come up with this idea. So I have knitted like mitered squares, so different to the Laura Penrose one, and then like a solid granny square. And the idea behind it is that you can use whatever you have in your stash, kind of combining yarn weights if you wanted. This is made with a DK weight yarn, but with blankets, gauge doesn't have to necessarily apply, so you could use a different weight yarn if you have a surplus of one weight. And I have just been playing around with like joining techniques. Obviously you join as you go, and it's different for the crochet squares to the knitted squares. So I've been having lots of fun with it. I am going to write it up as a pattern. I'm not sure now when that will be, but I do want to kind of get this sent off to my friend quite quickly, so I might just start making another version. I'll take photos of this, I'll get everything I need from it, and then maybe make another version and do the pattern. I haven't actually been writing the pattern. This is one where I haven't been writing as I go, but it's fairly straightforward. Once you've done a few joins, you have your base square, you start joining together. It's fairly similar across all the rows. So I think it's a fun project. I think it would be excellent for stash busting. I did actually buy yarn for this because I'm making it as a gift, but I think it'll be pretty handy with my stash, and I'm actually going to have some left over of this, I predict, so I might be able to make a cushion version of it perhaps. But I won't dwell on that one too much because it's not finished yet. I haven't written a pattern for it, but I'm happy that I actually picked it back up for once. My goal actually is to have this one completed in the next week. Once I actually start making it again and I enjoy it, it doesn't take too long. I was finding I was doing about a row a day, just outside of work hours, like my lunch break. I could do 1, maybe 2, and then in an evening complete the rest. It's a 7 square row. So it doesn't take too long. So I should be able to get it done in a week maybe, and then I'll get back to the reversible top as I say, the pattern is written for that one, so it's just a case of like finishing that second sample, but it doesn't stop me following the like designing process. And then, even though my goal is to finish that blanket, I did start one new design last night. I've been thinking that I wanted to do another sock pattern. I tend to do one per year. And so I was thinking about what I wanted to do this year, and I knew that I wanted to use yarn that I had in my stash already, because that is my overall goal. And I had this idea that it was initially like a mountain, like landscape, very influenced by the environment that I currently live in. And I was trying to sketch out how I would do that, convert that into a knitting pattern. And in the end, I changed it to waves. So it's gone from like mountain to more like waves. And it's colourful. I've picked out some different colours in my yarn that make it nice and bright. I think the weather has been pretty nice the last few days at least. Actually, the last week has been not too bad here in Vancouver. I think it's made me very optimistic for spring. So it's influenced my colour selection. But I'll give you a little sneak peek of this next sock pattern. I'm kind of really happy with it. I mapped it out, I think, on Stitch Fiddle. It's free for like the basic features to chart it out. I think I did that on Friday maybe, and then last night I cast on and got to about here, and then this morning I did some more and got to here, and I'm just deciding what I want the calf to be. So the idea is obviously with your leftover yarn, colour blocking, not going to take up too much leftover yarn. So if you've got bits left over from other sock projects, this is going to be kind of the perfect thing for it. I already think I might give the pattern a couple of options of how you want to make the socks, as in like colour choice wise. And I've paused on it because I'm deciding how I want to do the heel. My favourite heel is a gusset heel flap. I just find that's probably the first one I did, and I found it the most flexible. You can change like the depth of it, so if you have a high arch and you want to make a deeper heel flap, that's much easier to do with that method. So that's my preferred one, but I have also done afterthought heels a lot, which is also quite handy if you're doing like a tube sock. But I'm not sure what I want to do for this one, so I've actually just been flicking through Summerlee Knits, the sock project book. Sorry, is that flipped? I'm not sure. It looks flipped in this camera, we'll see. And she has like she lays out the 4 kind of common heel designs, so I'm just going through them, deciding which one I actually want to use for this sock project. But I love socks, and this has been pretty straightforward to do, so that will be another pattern coming out at some point, not sure when yet, because I just got inspired yesterday or Friday and started doing it. So watch this space, but I hope you like the little peek I gave you there, and I'm sure I'll be showing it again in March when I've maybe finished the other pair or have the full like set. I actually didn't do let me tell you the yarns that I have picked for that actually. So I have this green, which is Bramble Ridge, who is a local to BC yarn dyer. I bought this green sock yarn from them to make the Christmas, the Jolly Holly and Jolly socks, if you remember them. And I had this green left over from that. I then also have this pink yarn, which I showed you in January's vlog, came as a free little extra from Fireweed Fibre Co, and I bought the yarn to make my second one of the reversible top. So this kind of variegated pink. I just got like a mini skein of that, so I thought that'd be perfect for this. And then I have this yellow yarn, which I've honestly dragged around with me for years. It's a sock yarn. I'm pretty confident it's like Cascade heritage sock, because that's my go-to sock yarn. I love it. It's fairly affordable. It goes, one skein goes a long way. I'm pretty sure it's that, but I've had it for a long time, and I've used it in multiple sock projects. To be honest, this is actually all I have left of it now, so it'll be perfect to finish up This pair of socks, I probably still have a little bit extra and I'll have to figure out what I do with that. It'll probably go in my Sea Glass Tea by Will and Pine, which I haven't touched this year. Every time I look in my whip basket, it's there, but I've been focusing on all the design ideas I have, so maybe later in the year I'll get back to that one. And then I have this white yarn, which is also Cascade Heritage, so I think this is going to be, I obviously have quite a lot of this left. I again bought this for the Holly and Jolly Christmas sock. I have lots of this one left, so I reckon I can get a couple of pairs out of this. So yeah, they're my yarn options. And I think that is all I have been working on through February. I hope you have enjoyed watching this, and let me know what you've been working on, and if you're looking forward to spring like I am, has that made you think about the mix that you want to like knit or crochet for spring? What patterns have you got your eye on? Let me know, and please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future episodes from me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.